Okay, so let's build on to what you've learned. So you've learned the scale, right? And you've learned to do it in different patterns. Like instead of going to go kind of and just holding notes, all that good stuff. Let's spice this thing up. So first of all, we're gonna add on hammer-ons now. So what you do is you pluck it once, and you don't use this hand again, and then you hammer it on with this hand. So let's play fret 5 on string number 5. And then instead of striking it again, imagine there's elastic on this finger, pulling it onto fret 7. So imagine there's elastic, bang. So we're gonna go 5 to 7. So I'm gonna strike the 5, like that. And again, watch. But I don't strike that 7. Does that make sense? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the reverse. So we're pulling off from 7 to 5. So it's almost like I'm plucking it with this finger here. Strike here, and I'll take this away. And as you pull it away, it will slightly clip the string with this left hand. So again, like that. Okay, so like that. Now see if I can get a hammer on. There you go. So that hammering on from fret 5 on the 4th string to fret 7 fits really well because it's going from the G to the A. So that's that root note. So it sounds good at most of it. Now what would happen if I do the hammer? So I'm pulling off and then I'm playing back to that A. We always want to kind of start and end somewhere around that note. So good, so I'm hammering on. Now we're going to do a hammer on, pull off again. So I'm hammering on to so I play fret 5, hammer on to 8, and then pull it off. So, does that all make sense? It's a lot of information. We're doing the hammer on, and then I pull it off without using this right hand. So I only strike it once. Okay, so we've got the hammer on. Now we've got the pull off. Okay, you notice again, I'm going to that A note. So either up here, or I'm going here. Always ending on A. It doesn't have to always go to A, but this note sounds good because that is the 5th note of the scale. So that you'll notice that note will often fit as well. That's the E. Okay? So we've got our hammer-ons now. We've got our pull-offs. Now, so you can now start doing all that good stuff. Here's another fun thing. This is called a double stop. I'm playing 2 notes at once. So I'm pressing my finger across the 2nd and 3rd string together. So as I'm playing it here, if I pull my elbow back, it's now flat across 2 strings. And I pluck these 2 strings together. And that almost always sounds good in this track. And then I went back to that A note again. So I'm double stop, I'm hitting these 2 at the same time. Okay, all I'm gonna do now is move my finger down a bit. So I'm flattening strings 1 and 2 now. Again, across fret 5, watch this. And I'm striking these 2. It will sound better at certain bits of the track than others. Any minor key, that will sound good, as will this. So we're either flattening it across strings 1 and 2, or across strings 2 and 3. Okay, there's more. The next thing we're going to add in is the slide. People get this wrong because what they do is they'll slide out of position. So, for example, all our positions right now is across here. We don't really want to go out of there too much, okay? So if you're going to slide out of position, say if I slide from fret 5 to fret 8, watch this. And I don't strike it twice again. So I strike it, and I hold. From here, I'm not going to play anymore because I'm out of position. Whereas if I was to slide in position like this, now I can play, can't I? So I'm sliding from fret 5 with my ring finger onto fret 7, which means I can now go, see? So I can go, because I'm in position. Same with this. I'm sliding from fret 5 with my little finger up to fret 8. I could slide like this. And I could do here. Or I could go like this. Or I can go like this. So it's from one note of the scale to the other note of the scale. So you're sliding into position, because this is out of position. I don't want to be playing down here, but now I'm in position. And then again, I'm out of position, ring finger, now I'm in position. Another thing you can do with this one, for whatever reason, you can go from fret 4, like that, that fits. So there we go. We can go like this. We can go like this too, from fret 5 to fret 8 on string 2. Now we've got our hammer-ons, we've got our pull-offs, we've got our slides. We can slide back down as well. So you could also slide into position from out of position like this. And then I just mix the whole thing together. How cool is that? Another really good one that I forgot is to slide from this G here, from fret 3 on the thickest string, up to fret 5. Now I'm in position, I can go, so I could go slide from 3 to 5. Now I can place my little finger on fret 8 and then pull it off without striking fret 5. So watch both hands now carefully. From 3. I only striked it twice. Strike, slide, strike, pull off. Now I could do the same thing on the thinner string, couldn't I? Because it's the same notes. And again, 3, slide to 5. 8, pull off to 5. And again. So if you have slid out of position, say from fret 5 to fret 8, two options. You can either slide back into position again before you play any more notes, or you can sustain the note, let it ring out, and then gently place yourself back into the position where you know where you are, and you know, pick a note that you're very confident is going to fit the track. It might be fret 5 on the thickest string or the thinnest string on that A. It might be fret 7 on the 4th string, which is going to hit that A again. Okay, I'm just going to expand on this a little bit more. You should be able to play all the notes of the A minor pentatonic scale on this track, but some of them are going to be target notes or important notes, and others are going to be passing notes, and they're going to be notes that we use to get to and from the important notes. So if you look at the backing track in the link in the description, you'll actually see that it shows you on the screen which chord is playing at which time. So for example, to keep things simple, while it plays A, I want you to just play A. You could play it here as well. Right? You go there, there, and there. Now we're going to D. Right? And now it goes to D. We could play it here. Back to A. Just play those notes. Now it goes to E. You could play it here. Back to D. Just play D. And then back to A. Okay, so we're just playing the target notes. Now these are the notes that you can hold and you can sustain. They're the important notes. Okay, just pick one target note and just keep playing it. Okay, just one, don't try and play all of them. Okay, we're about to go to D. I'm gonna play this D here. Fret 7 on the G string. Back to A. Okay, we're about to do E. Over to D. And then we're about to go back to A. So you're playing it on the first beat of each bar. Back to E. Okay? Now I might pick a different target note. Just to clarify, all the target notes of A are going to be A. But when I say pick a different target note, as in play it in a different place. So I might be playing, instead of fret 5 on the thickest or thinnest string, I might now then move to that fret 7 on the 4th string. But it's still A. All the target notes of A are going to be A. And all the target notes of D are going to be D. And the target notes of E are going to be E. When that becomes easy. Over to D. So we're always using the same target note for each chord, right? To keep it simple until that becomes easy. Now we're about to go to E. I'm going to use this one here. Over to D. And I'm going back to A. And then to E again. Okay, so just use one target note and then use a different target note, and as you get more confident you might start mixing it up, but if that doesn't work, just go back to one of the notes at a time. So it might mean you go, okay, using different A's for targets for each chord, okay, for each bar of each chord, okay, does that make sense? Right, now we've got the passing notes, like for example this G, it gets you to the A, okay? So it's going to be the notes kind of either side of the key notes, right? So technically any note of the scale should fit, but you should always be aiming to get back to the target note or exaggerate the target note or sustain the target note. So for example, when I'm playing A, it won't sound good to be holding this G. Doesn't sound great. Actually, in this particular scenario, the G and the A does go together because the track is playing an A dominant 7 chord. But learn to walk before you can run. So don't try doing that just yet if you can't do the root notes. That's actually a step too far right now. In many, many scenarios, G and A will not fit together, but in all scenarios, A and A will. Whereas if I sustain this A, it does. But I can use G as a passing note to get to A, but I'm not going to hold it for long periods of times. Right now I'm on to D. So I can play C, but I don't want to sustain C in the chord of D. I just want to use that C as a note that I play as a stepping stone to get to the note of D, right? So as a passing note to get me to D. It wouldn't sound good if I sustain the other notes and hold them out for long periods of time, but I can use them to get me to the key notes. So you can use the notes, 3 or 4 notes either side of the note to just get you to that note, but don't let the other notes ring out as long. Make sure you play them for a quicker duration, and the notes that you're going to let ring are going to be the target notes. And so in this case we're going to keep it simple by just playing the target notes of the chord itself. So when D happens, when the chord of D is playing, we're going to target the note of D, okay, to keep it simple. There are other target notes that could be used when you're playing, especially when you play more advanced stuff. But for now, we're just going to stick to the root notes of each chord as the target notes and let the other notes that I play be the notes that get me to that note. Does that make sense? So I can play the notes near to the note, but I don't want to hold them for too long. So here we go. But so I'm always coming back to A. Right, on to D. I play the note above it, play the note below, but I always end up back on that D. Back to A. Play the notes around it. E. D. Back to A. Back to the E and A. But again, I'm back there. I'm playing other notes, but I always get back to A. That's the one I'm sustaining. I'm on D now. I'm back to A. And I always end up going back and holding A. Actually, don't look at that. We're staying in this range. Over to D. Back to A and the notes around it. E. D. I'm going to try and keep it simple. Says me. Keeping the notes around A. If I go too far from it, that's okay as long as I work my way back towards it. So to notes that are further from A, like this. But I always find my way back to that root note. D. Back to A. Oops, I missed the E there. Getting a bit too cocky. Onto this target of the D. Back to A. Back to E. D. And A. There isn't much time to mess around much with that one bar of D. I noticed with the E, this B works really well, and that's the fifth of E. So E, F, G, A, B, that does work, but don't do too much of that. So I'm on the D, over to A. Now watch, if I play this B here, that fits really well.
So if you're a beginner and you've been having lessons anywhere between 1 and 6 months and you are under grade 3 standard, I want you to use the minor pentatonic scale and the blues scale, obviously both in A, starting on fret 5. If you are an intermediate level player and you are grade 3 standard or above, I want you to use the minor pentatonic, the blues, and include a couple of notes here and there from the natural minor scale, okay? So every now and then you might find yourself slipping in a few of the notes in the gaps that aren't included in the minor pentatonic scale, and that's fantastic. But again, don't do that unless you are at least grade 3 standards. Now, advanced students, that is students who are grade 5 and above, you've got the minor pentatonic, the blues scale, notes from the natural minor scale, and I'd like you to also experiment with using notes from all 5 positions of the minor pentatonic scale. Make sure you learn it carefully first before you do it. And anyone below that level, please do not attempt this. Okay, we're now about to do intermediate guitar soloing for people who are grade 3 standard and above. To do this, you need to really know the natural minor scale like the back of your hand, and you need to know your fretboard.
Yeah, I think I'm locked in now. I'm closing my eyes and I'm feeling some of the notes are going to be key notes. Like B, it's the key note. I can do other notes. But I've got the key notes. I can only let the key notes hold. Okay, first of all, we're going to start by targeting the root note. Back to B. A. Just down the scale. G. F sharp, sorry. G. Now, I'm hitting B, but I'm also hitting the notes around it. So hitting B. A. F sharp. Now again, now I'm gonna. Now you can start targeting the thirds and the fifths, but just feel that fits. That fits too. That's enough. But always go back to just playing roots when you get lost.
So just remember, start off by playing the scale slowly over the backing track. I don't know, 2 or 3 times until you're really locked into the notes of the scale. Don't skip this. Then start grounding by playing the root note of each chord. So for example, if it's the chord of B, you're playing B. If it's the chord of A, you're playing A at the exact point that the chord changes. And once that becomes easy, off you go.